Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Doesn't Make Sense, your favorite show on the internet, because it's a show where me and John get together and we talk about pro wrestling and how silly it can be sometimes. So we've got some stuff to talk about today. I think we'll start off by talking about War Games, NXT War Games that happened on Sunday, whatever Sunday it was. What Sunday was it? The 6th?
Yes.
Sweet. Yeah, it's good to see that you weren't expecting that question.
Yeah.
Really came at you from left field there. So they did War Games pay-per-view show style thing, which seems to be a recurring thing now for NXT because they had War Games last year, and I think they had one the year before that. Did they?
I think this might be the fourth War Games.
Fourth.
Yeah.
Wow. So past War Games have been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody was pretty excited about this. This is their last takeover before the end of the year.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, that's right.
The other one's like just at the start of 2021. I think they announced a new one.
I don't even think that's a takeover. I think that's just like the first NXT of 2021, which they've decided to dress up and give like a special name to.
Dressing up a regular episode of your TV show with a fancy name and some fancy main events. What an interesting concept. We'll get to that later. But we're going to talk about War Games first of all. It started off with the female War Games match, which was so many names. Dakota Kai with her brilliant theme music.
Mm-hmm.
Raquel Gonzalez, Candice LeRae.
Yep.
And I'm like, Toni Storm.
That's right. Toni Storm, who turned heel on Ember Moon like a couple of weeks ago on NXT.
She's a bad girl now.
She's naughty.
She's a bad kid. Bloody Toni Storm coming in here with her cap on backwards. She's crazy. And her little face paint. So those are the heels, the bad guys. And then the good guys were Io Shirai, Shotzi Blackheart, Rhea Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
And why am I so bad at this?
I mean, I just literally said...
Oh, Ember Moon. Son of a bitch. That was the one you gave me, and I couldn't even fucking... Oh, God. See, this is the kind of fun shenanigans people listen to the show for.
Indeed.
They love listening to me being an idiot. And if that's the case, boy, you want to stick around, because there's lots more of that to come. So, one thing I thought of when I was watching this match is NXT Women's Division is pretty fucking good.
I'd say it's probably the best women's division going right now in all of professional wrestling.
I think it's kind of hard to argue that because I was looking at all 8 women in that ring and like they're all really good. Rhea Ripley is she's so good. Right?
Yeah.
Just wonderful. But Raquel Gonzalez, she looks really good too. She's got a really good look and she can move pretty well. I haven't really seen too much of her, so like you can't really judge how good she is based on this one match, But she did a good job in it. I love me some Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae. She's grown on me as well.
Yeah, I think she's really grown into the heel role that she's had over the last however many months, 6 months or so. So because she was one who kind of you struggled to see as a heel. Like she seemed like such a kind of natural baby face. It was hard to imagine her being like this cocky kind of self-important heel who's just kind of stood out on her own. Well, not on her own, but with Johnny Gargano as well, doing the whole Gargano way thing.
I've enjoyed the two of them. I didn't think because Johnny Gargano when he's a face like that works. I thought I'm like Tim turning heel. This isn't gonna work. The two of them did a really good job, and Dakota Kai as well because she was a super baby face.
Yeah. And
her heel turn, people were like, "Is this gonna work?" Turns out it fucking did. She turned heel last War Games.
Indeed, that's right.
So we've had a full year for banging theme music.
Yeah.
Everybody's very happy with that. And but the match itself, right? I don't know if we've been spoiled as wrestling fans when it comes to spectacle like matches, like ladder matches or war games or something like this. But or Hell in a Cell especially, because there's always like an expectation, I guess. Maybe
Mm.
not on purpose, but like you know what happened in matches past. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like you can't help that. So we've seen previous war games. We know what they were like, and I feel like at some point the people in the matches just have a really tough time like trying to top that or trying to like how do they do it. I didn't think this match. I mean, here's what I want to say about both war games matches. Really, is that they weren't terrible at all. Like they
Mm.
were fun to watch, but there was also parts in both matches where I'm like, this is silly. This is
Yeah.
I'm like, this is don't eat this. Like both matches for some reason had a reliance on clearly not real weapons. Shotzi Blackheart has a toolbox full of tools that she throws into the ring,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody opens it up, and all these hammers come out, and
Yeah.
I'm like, let's be honest here, fellas, those aren't real hammers. And then the hammers are being used to hit other people with in the stomach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, these are definitely not real hammers. It's not like, it's just, you don't hit somebody listen, man, you don't hit somebody in the stomach with a hammer like that and expect them to not be seriously injured.
Yeah.
Just take that one from experience. Io Shirai jumping off the cage with the trash can. I mean, like,
that was a beautiful sight.
it looked cool and like so stupid at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it because I'm like, wow, but also like, what? Why? Just I don't, but that's what I felt like about this match and about the other one, is that it was really good in parts, but then other parts really like took me out of it, and we're like,
Mm.
didn't need that, which is a shame because I think with a match like that, they need to kind of go full on seriousness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they did for the most part. I mean, this was a weird one in the fact that it was the faces who had the advantage going into it, which is typically not really what happens in a War Games match. But it was a nice sort of break from formula, and they kind of nullified it as well when Io Shirai was supposed to come into the match, but like she was stopped from getting in the ring for ages. So that basically meant, I think it was Candice who came out after that, and the advantage was with the heels then that way. So I thought that was like a nice, unique take on the War Games, um, like situation, but kind of done in a way that was new and a bit different, and and it stood out and told a different story. Because I mean, how many matches have there been of War Games over the years, and you can't have the heels have the advantage every single time. You got to mix up that formula.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I thought that was a nice little touch. Although, as you pointed out, the faces had the advantage going into that match. And they still lost.
Yeah.
Like I get that like you said, the advantage was kind of taken away from them, but like every single person, bar like one or two, that went into that match like went under the ring first and pulled out a chair or a toolbox or like a ladder. I'm like, dude, you don't need a ladder in a War Games match. It's already 2 rings inside a cage. What more? Plus, already the ring is covered in fake hammers and chairs and crowbars and shit. Dude, you don't need like a bunch of ladders. You know what I mean?
And they just kept pulling him out from the same area of the ring as well.
Right, exactly beside the steps.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is that like a recurring like machine for just pumping out weapons?
It's like back in the day when you play No Mercy or something, and you'd walk up to the crowd and like pull a weapon out, and you just have to keep going to that same point, and then more weapons would come out.
Right. Well, no, in No Mercy, that there was a limit.
Oh, was
Hmm.
there?
Yeah, I fucking find it. There was a limit after. But what happens is in No Mercy, you can break weapons as well. So if
Mm,
you get a weapon that breaks, if you use it enough times and it breaks, then you can get another weapon after that. I think it's like 3 or 4.
okay.
It's the limit, and then if you break one of them, you can go get another one. Um, I think the table counts as a weapon as well. So if you break the table first, then
Mm,
a nice table, then you can go get some more weapons. I gotta play No Mercy again, man.
yeah.
Play No Mercy. Yeah. So that part was a bit, strange, but that was it. The match was fine. It was fun in parts.
I think the ending was pretty good though, like in terms of all the kind of big high spots we saw with like Shotzi doing like the back senton off the ladder with Candice like lying on the mat with the chair, and I think that may have actually ended up breaking Candice's arm though, which obviously
Mm.
sucks. But then you had like the spot with Ember Moon hitting the Eclipse while Dakota Kai was over the chairs.
Oh, dude, that looked crazy, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked awful. It looked like she got broken in half.
That looked really painful.
And what's the other? Oh, and then the finish as well with Gonzalez doing the power bomb on Io Shirai through the ladder, which I always hate those spots with like the ladders which break because
Wait, but this clearly not gimmick ladder.
yeah, well, I mean, one, it's clearly gimmicked, but at the same time, like, you shouldn't be doing like these big falls onto steel ladders anyway, because even if it is gimmicked, like, it's still
Yeah,
not healthy.
exactly. Again, like I think that's just part of what happened from like the old TLC matches is that, you know, expectations got raised a lot. Those guys raised the bar so much so that after that people were like, well, now what do we do? And
Mm.
so like that happens a lot when you see like Money in the Bank matches or whatever, and you see them coming up with these weird spots with the ladders, and you're like, I understand the idea, it makes a cool looking spot. It's quite a spectacle. But also, like, if this was a real fight, I don't think you'd spend so much time setting up 3 ladders. Right?
Yeah.
It's they feel like they have to get a bit too elaborate and a bit too over the top just
Mm.
to entertain us fickle fans, which makes sense because here we are fucking complaining about it on the internet, I guess. Do more stuff, please.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was fun enough, but I don't think I'd watch it again.
No, yeah, I'm not gonna rush out to watch it,
Mm.
but like you say, I think it was fun and it kind of set up some interesting stuff for the future as well with like Raquel Gonzalez pinning Io Shirai, and that's got to put her into the title picture, you'd think. And then you've got like the beginnings of the feud with Tony Storm and Ember Moon as well, and
Mm.
there's like elements you can take from this and spin off into other directions. So it might not be the greatest War Games match of all time, but at least it had purpose.
Right. Like angles are coming out after it. You can move forward with this. In that respect, it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So fair enough. What was next? That was
Tommaso
Tommaso Ciampa,
Ciampa versus Timothy
Timothy
Thatcher.
Thatcher. What do you think of this?
It's a bit of a slow burner, really. It started a bit slow, but then kind of as it went along, the intensity really sort of cranked up a notch. And I've always been a fan of like the more technical wrestling as well. So the fact that these guys were doing something more technical, especially after like War Games where it was like lots of plunder and uh, gimmick hammers and ladders and all that kind of jazz.
Mm.
This was just like a nice change of pace,
Right.
but still like really hard hitting and almost violent as well. I guess it was yeah, it was just really good stuff.
I agree. These two guys really like beat the heck out of each other.
Mm.
And I think you're right. And it did have a bit of a slow start, but then, you soon start getting into it, and you're like, well, this is fun. It just looks like two guys trying to beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's in perfect contrast to some of the, kind of silliness that we had just seen. I mean, those hammers were clearly fake. Sorry to burst everybody's bubble, but it was a real, like, I thought it was a fun match.
Mm.
I enjoyed it. Those two guys. I honestly thought Thatcher was gonna win.
Yeah.
Because I think Thatcher needs a win more than Ciampa does.
Mm-hmm.
I think since and Thatcher's been fun to watch. He's been putting on really good matches, the kind of matches we like to watch. But he doesn't seem like he's won a fucking. He beat Matt Riddle in the Lions Den, didn't he?
I believe so, yeah. But then like you say, he's not had the best of success over the last month or two, really. Like the last match I saw him in, he lost to Kushida, but then, to be fair, Kushida's in the midst of a bit of a push right now as well, so I guess that's understandable.
Yeah, but like, I feel like he's the kind of guy you could put some heat on. You could really like do something cool with that guy. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with Tommaso Ciampa getting back into the title picture. I'd be all for that. But you think about the match that Finn Balor had with like Kyle O'Reilly. Imagine something like that, but with Timothy Thatcher instead.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Hell yeah.
If you built it up right, that would be a hell of a match, So, I don't know. I guess we'll see where that's gonna go. I think that this probably isn't the end of their feud, given the way that they kind of stared off at the end.
Yeah. I don't know if that was like a sort of respect kind of stare, or like we've got unfinished business kind of stare. But, I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Hooray. So the match after that was the strap match.
Yes.
Now, I've talked before in the show about how I wasn't really a big fan of Cameron Grimes whenever he was in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lee is his name, wasn't it?
Yes.
I just didn't get it. And then, I don't know what it was, but like, I've done a full 180 on that guy. He's been so much fun to watch in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
His character, like, he gets it. He's so into it, and I love that. And kind of on the flip side, like Dexter Lumis, Samuel Shaw, who I was a big fan of in TNA, his character, he's really into his character as well. But like in the kind of total opposite, one of them is very over the top and silly, and the other one's very like straightforward and serious,
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that. It was a good pairing. I thought this was my favorite match of the night.
Oh, really?
I really, really liked it. I don't know why, but I just find it really entertaining, Well,
I kind of struggle a little bit with Loomis. I think he's kind of miscast as a face, because he's too like creepy and weird to be like a good face, really.
I get that.
And yeah, like I've never been blown away by his like wrestling ability as well. Like I'm sure he is a really good wrestler, but because of the sort of character he plays, he often doesn't really get to show that. But that being said, I did think that this was a fun strap match, which is a kind of match which is difficult to do, really, because being strapped together is more limiting than it is providing them with spots that they can do, really. So but they kind of used the strap really well, and came up with some fun moments. Like I really liked the bit at the end where like Loomis kept going for his like side effect type move, and then Cameron Grimes kept knocking him off, and then it basically ended up with like Grimes getting wrapped up, his feet getting wrapped up in the strap, and then getting yanked out from under him, and he hits the chair like head first. That looked amazing. And it was nice and original as well. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fun match. So what more can you ask for?
That's exactly it, man. If some people, they'll be critical. They'll be like, it wasn't a 5-star technical classic. Gotta say, dude, I just feel like I had the most fun watching this match on the show. It was just fun to watch. There's a bit where Dexter Lumis throws Cameron Grimes into like the side kind of barrier.
Yeah.
And he like fucking goes all the way through it. Like that felt like super heavy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just felt like it had a lot of weight behind it, a lot of volume, and I'm like, oh, that must have hurt, right? And that's just simply all that was just throwing a dude into the side barrier. But it felt like it hurt. I'm like, man, sometimes it's all you need to do is keep it simple, I like that match. I liked it. That's all I gotta say, really.
I would have liked it more if Cameron Grimes had picked up a sneaky win, but because he seems to have lost pretty much every sort of encounter he's had with Loomis, like over the last couple of months or so. So
yeah, but here's where the character thing comes in, right? Because Dexter Loomis is a guy who has that kind of character where if he takes a whole lot of losses, it's gonna be hard for him to come back from that because his character is this deadly psychopath guy.
Yeah.
So if you're a deadly psychopath guy who loses a lot, like that's not gonna work.
We've seen that with Bray Wyatt.
Right, it just makes him look like an idiot. And with Timothy Thatcher, there's a guy that is supposed to be this big, badass fucking professional fighter. And if he loses a lot, that doesn't make him look good. Because you're like, well, how good are you if you just, you're supposed to be a pro fucking fighter.
Yeah.
And you lose a lot. Whereas a guy like Cameron Grimes, he's got enough charisma about him to be able to spin a loss, right? And even if he loses a lot, he can just spin it like it doesn't matter. Because that's what I felt like watching that video package. I totally was like the same as you. He's lost a bunch of his feuds, if not all of the feuds that he's been in NXT. But like his character is so like fucking cocky and headsure that he'll, him just doing whatever he wants to do is the right course of action in his mind,
Yeah.
So like wins and losses don't really matter, all that shit. He can spin it, he can get away with it, and it's all just because of the character and the person playing it, So I get the Dexter Lumis win here because earlier in the year he was fighting for the heavyweight championship and stuff, and it didn't really pay off. So keep the attention on him, and Cameron Grimes is he's gonna be a guy that will get used sooner rather than later, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can see him having the sort of Heath Slater type role if he ever does get called up to the main roster, like sort of a kind of comic relief, cowardly heel kind of thing.
Which I would be all right with.
Yeah.
Be totally fine with that because that guy could be able to pull it off pretty fucking well, So that was a fun match.
Yeah.
And then there was the triple threat match.
There was indeed.
Which was Jonathan Gargano, as we mentioned briefly earlier, Leon Ruff, and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
This was still a fun match, I thought. I didn't really like the ending. I mean, I get the ending. I understand. But like fucking all like 6 different people attacking Damian Priest. Like, it's a little busy. Like I really like the bit where Leon Ruff gets injured, so they take him away, but then he comes back in like halfway through the match. Old spot, but it works.
Yeah.
And I also didn't think Leon Ruff was going to win going into the match because that didn't seem to be the way the storyline was playing out. The storyline seemed to be playing out where Johnny Gargano got cocky, and that led to a young rookie kind of like picking up a win out of nowhere. But because it was kind of a fluke, like you knew it wasn't, it's not going to last too long.
Yeah.
This is really a story about Johnny Gargano. And I think all 3 of them did a very good job of like playing that up, making it like Damian Priest kind of making it seem like Leon Ruff isn't supposed to be there. You know, like he was an afterthought. It's really about Priest and Gargano. That was fun. I like that. But, you know, it went on a little bit too long, and the busyness at the end, I wasn't super sold on, you know. But again, other than that, I thought it was fun to watch.
Yeah, completely agree with like every single one of your points. To be honest, it's exactly what I was gonna say. It was like a good fun match, and then it got to the end with all the ghost faces coming out. It's like, is this really necessary? Like,
right, because the thing is, like, there's 6 Ghostface guys that are all beating up Damian Priest, and he beats up all of them.
Yeah.
And then one other guy, so that's 7 guys come out the Ghostface, and the 7th guy, smart dude, has a lead pipe. Why didn't the other ones bring a lead pipe? So then at the end, the 7th guy revealed himself to be Austin Theory, right? So why do you need the other 6 people?
Yeah.
Why do you need them? Because they're not taking their masks off. Who are they?
Exactly.
Like, what was the point of that?
Yeah, if they want to play up the mystery of who like the original Ghostface was, then why aren't we playing up the mystery of who these other ones are?
Right. Like, now we gotta figure out who those fucking guys are, and it's just a fucking vicious circle. It's gonna go round and round. We'll never get a good answer.
Just keep adding more Ghostfaces.
It's like what they used to do with Sting.
Yeah.
WCW, like, is it Sting? You know, like guy coming out with like a handlebar mustache. Is that Sting? He's about the same height and weight as Hulk Hogan, but he's wearing the Sting face paint, you know.
I've seen a clip with Booker T coming out dressed as Sting.
Oh my god, that is so funny.
And Tony Schiavone's like, that's Booker T.
But it's only after he hits like the sidekick.
Yeah.
That he's like, oh, that's Booker T's move. Like, come on, man. What the fuck? What gave the game away? That's unbelievable. I didn't even know they did that, but that does not surprise me at all. So yeah, like, I like the idea of Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano working together and all that fun stuff, but like, you know, very busy.
Yes.
And I don't think it needed to be. But other than that, I thought it was fun.
I mean, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by Austin Theory being revealed as well. I've just not really been a fan of his since he's showed up in NXT. Like, he's not really stood out at all. But, you know, credit where credit's due. I did pop for the it was me, Austin. It was me all along, Austin.
It was perfect. It works.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, like, again, this could be the thing that, you know, makes a name for him. This could be the angle that makes you interested in him. And if that's what happens, then, you know, mission accomplished.
Indeed.
I guess we'll have to see. So then it was the main event, which was War Games again. Pat McAfee and his heel team, Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch, versus the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. See how quickly I got all them?
That was impressive.
I don't know how sometimes my brain just goes into overdrive and I'm like, I don't know where this shit comes from. So this match, you know, I was looking forward to this too. I like all those guys. I thought Pat McAfee's been doing a really good job.
Yeah.
You know, they've really been trying to push this heel team, this collection of this ragtag bunch of, you know, ne'er-do-wells. And it's been interesting. Like, Pat McAfee's a great promo.
Oh, yeah.
Great promo. And it's been fun to watch. I love me Undisputed Era. And, you know, they are the MVPs of War Games. So I thought this will be fun to watch. And, yeah, I mean, for a lot of it, it was fun to watch. But like I said, with the first War Games match, there was still some silliness to it that I could have done without. For example, when they all pull out cricket bats. First of all, dude, what, you know, I get that they're from Britland, so you gotta have something to do with the British, but I'm like, these are clearly fake cricket bats. Yeah. These are also rubber cricket bats, right? You're like, come on. And because cricket bats are like so long, like, when you hit a guy in the head with that, you're gonna see it bend. You're gonna know it's made out of rubber.
Yeah.
Let's not be idiots about this. Also a little surprised to see the Undisputed Era win.
Yeah,
like,
do you reckon?
did they need that? Because I felt like them beating Pat McAfee and his big badass stable after the whole month we've had of them trying to big up that heel stable was an interesting move.
Well, I think because the Undisputed Era pretty much been on the shelf for the last month or so, really, because of Pat McAfee and his Kings of NXT or whatever they want to call themselves. So like they kind of needed a bit of revenge, I guess. So that didn't surprise me a whole lot. And I think this whole story is like far from over as well. I wouldn't be surprised if, spinning out of this, we get like another Pat McAfee Adam Cole match down the line, or like even Pete Dunne versus Adam Cole and more of a straight up feud with McAfee as like the corner man or whatever. Not to mention like the Undisputed Era going for the tag titles again as well. Like there's like possibilities again, like the first War Games match for where they go from here.
Yeah, that's true. Like I wouldn't be super happy about another Adam Cole Pat McAfee match because, God bless him. He tries his best. He does a really good job, Pat McAfee, but he's not like a wrestler. And Adam Cole winning that match the first time was the right call.
Yes.
Because in a straight one-on-one match, Pat McAfee should never be able to beat Adam Cole. Whereas in a match like War Games, it kind of makes sense for example, if Pat McAfee was the one that scored the pinfall for his team in War Games, the heat on that guy would be incredible.
Yeah, it gives him bragging rights then.
Exactly, and he could do like very little and still get the win, and then say he won like the biggest main event in NXT history or whatever. Like obviously hyperbole, but he could spin it that way. Whereas if he went back into a singles thing, I don't know, because we don't see him wrestle. It's going to be hard to buy him being a wrestler, if you know what I mean. Like we've seen one match from him, but
yeah,
one match isn't gonna solve everything.
I did think he was pretty impressive in this one again, though. Like some of the athletic stuff that he was doing looked really good.
His moonsault.
Yeah, his moonsault was incredible looking.
Right. I'm not saying that he's bad at all, but I mean like credibility wise.
Oh yeah.
I think that it's gonna be tough to have him beat a lot of the other guys on the roster.
Yes.
And so you kind of paint yourself into a corner there. Whereas Pete Dunne versus Adam Cole, I'm all for that. Oh, hang on, I want to mention something real quick though. As a fellow British person, Pete Dunne has invested heavily in fake tan.
Yeah.
That is not a real tan.
Yeah.
That is not a real tan. If that is, then he is very sick. I'm like, that's not a color people turn when they're out in the sun. Like that is pure ass fucking fake tan. You put on to go down to the nightclub when you're 17. This dude, he's got an awful lot of fake tan. And it was so weird because he was in the ring with Kyle O'Reilly, who looked kind of pale.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is Pete Dunne a different shade of everything compared to Kyle O'Reilly? You know what I mean? That dude, Pete Dunne, if you're listening to this, which you probably, chances are you're not. But if somebody, if this gets back to you, you do lay off the fake tan. It's not a good look, dude. Not a good look. But yeah, him versus Adam Cole, I'd be super down for.
Indeed. I thought this was like a really good showcase for Dunne as well. Like, I think at some point, like when he first arrived on like the WWE stage, he really stood out, and he was having like great matches every single time. And then after he became the NXT UK champion, and then it was like well into his title reign. Like, I don't know, like it was almost like he became more like WWE kind of like falling in line with this sort of expectations and tropes and stuff that you see from every other wrestler. Like he lost some of what made him unique, and but like in this War Games match, I thought he really stood out a hell of a lot, like with some of the stuff he was doing and just like the aggression and like everything. It was like the Pete Dunne of old almost coming back. So I'm hopeful that this is like a good sort of springboard for him going forward. And obviously as well, it seems like a good springboard for Kyle O'Reilly as well, who they seem to be really high on at the moment. Like between this and having the title match with Finn Balor a couple of months ago, it seems like Kyle O'Reilly is being positioned as a potential like future NXT champion right now, which I'm all for if they do go that direction.
I am super okay with that. I would be very, very okay with that. That guy's fucking great. But all the guys in the Undisputed Era are great.
Yeah.
They really are. They're all really fucking good. So, what I like about the Undisputed Era is like looking at them is a little bit like looking at the Shield from like 7 or 8 years ago. Because I remember looking at those guys and going, that's the future of wrestling. If they keep the focus on these three guys, which they should, because they're all fucking talented, then we'll be in a good place. And they did. Even though Moxley left, he's still one of the biggest stars in a different company. So those three of those guys, made a really big name for themselves. And I feel like a couple of years' time, we're going to be talking about all four of those guys in the same kind of reverence.
Yeah, I do kind of hope they get brought up together whenever they do go up to the main roster, and like they can keep doing what they're doing. Because I think if they do kind of split up and go up individually, like you can just imagine people are going to get lost in the shuffle, and it won't have the same impact as if they did go up together.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward. Honest to God, I'm not looking forward to them being called up at all.
Yeah, same.
Keep them where they are because they're the best thing on NXT right now. But never underestimate the WWE's ability to ruin a good thing.
Yeah.
So that was War Games. It was fine.
It was a bit overlong, this one as well.
Yeah, both War Games matches were super long.
There's a bit, especially in the men's one, there's a bit too much like everyone lying down whilst like two people fight. It's like, really?
Yeah. Well, you kind of got to do that, but
it just stretched it out a bit too much.
Yeah, but it's the main event of your show, and you're like, we've sat through like 2.5 hours. We've talked about that before, like long shows. By the end of it, by the main event, you just get kind of tired and burnt out, But other than that, it was all right.
Yeah, it's not like I didn't like the show or anything. I thought it was, typical NXT. Like, let the wrestlers go out, do their thing, and they'll deliver pretty much, and they did.
Right. It's definitely not the worst thing we've seen on television all year.
No.
Not even the top 10. So, But then again, it wasn't. I wouldn't call it like top 10 best stuff we've seen all year either. Maybe to be honest, maybe top 10 because it's not been a quiz. But it was what it was. It was fun. So that was a lot of fun. It happened on Sunday, but something that happened a few days before Sunday really had the wrestling world, or at least a portion of the wrestling world, talking about it. And I feel like we should talk about it at least a little bit because I've been fairly critical of All Elite Wrestling in the past. I don't know if you know this.
Really? I didn't know this.
It's good to see that you're not paying attention to the show either. Nobody else does. But, I feel like the one thing we do on the show is I think we call it pretty fairly,
We
you know?
try.
Yeah. So if somebody does something good, we talk about it. If somebody does something bad, we talk about it. And recently, All Elite Wrestling did an angle, John Moxley versus Kenny Omega, which we all knew was going to, happen. And Kenny Omega won and wins the championship, which we all pretty much knew was going to happen. On their episode of Dynamite called Winter is Coming.
Mm-hmm.
So is that where NXT got the idea from?
Well, I mean, to be
I mean, it's
fair,
it's totally not fucking, Impact used to do that shit too.
yeah.
Everybody
But
does that shit,
I think so, yeah. It's hard
Uh,
to be too critical about it.
yeah, let's just leave that one be. But first of all, did you watch the match?
Yep.
Okay. I watched the finish to the match, and then I heard that it was half an hour long,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to not watch that match. I didn't really like the finish. I like the idea, and I'll get into the idea in a second. I just didn't like the execution.
Yeah.
I don't know what you felt about the match. I mean, you've seen it, so you could probably speak about the match itself better than I could.
Well, you watched easily the worst part of the match, so I can understand why you're not particularly enthused about it. Like it was another one where it was a bit of a slow burn start, but then it's like a big time main event, so you kind of expect that a little bit, like the whole feeling out process first, and then like you gradually get it starts building and building, and like the moves start hitting harder, and then the action keeps coming faster, and then it's all building up to that crescendo ending. But yeah, like I say, the ending was a bit of a damp squib, and um yeah, it's a bit of a bummer really, because they were having a good match by the end of it, and to have it go like that is just like, well, kind of would have just liked to see like a straight finish, but oh well. It seems like they had this big angle in mind, which, to be fair to them, like I think it's a good sort of angle in terms of creating buzz.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's sort of something that's got legs. Like if it looked like immediately coming out of the show, there was like speculation on Twitter and stuff like, oh wow, we've got like an invasion angle. We're gonna see TNA versus or Impact Wrestling versus AEW and all that kind of thing. But it's like kind of quickly come out that no, it's not really going to be like that at all, which
Yeah.
I'm kind of thankful for, because in that sort of invasion scenario, like there's obviously got to be like a winner and a loser, so
Mhm.
it really will only favor one promotion at the end of it, whereas at least with this we're getting like just a bit of crossover. So Omega's giving Impact a rub by showing up, making his first appearance as AEW champion on Impact this week, which is happening tonight as we're recording this. So it'd be interesting to see exactly how that goes, and like if anything else spins out of it. But yeah, it's just nice to kind of see that like interplay between two different companies.
Right. So like, let me explain my views on this. So I didn't like the finish of the match, because I feel like the finish of the match should have really played more into the Don Callis thing.
Mm.
I think it should have had a screwy finish, because this seems to be the way it's going. Don Callis is now Kenny Omega's manager, right? So
Yeah.
they really should have, like, that whole section made it seem like it was a total accident. Like that seemed
Mm.
to be the angle they were going for. And I'm like, well, I don't know why you would do that if you've had Don Callis talking about how he's been a friend of Omega's and he's in Omega's corner and he's rooting for Omega, and also they're going to run off to Impact together. He should have had more of of a role in that match as opposed to just accidentally helping Kenny Omega win. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of bungled that bit. And there's a bit also after that where Don Callis is like trying to rush Kenny Omega out of the ring so they can run off to Impact, right?
Yeah.
And so they run through the entire backstage locker room and people are just yelling at them. Why doesn't anybody try to stop them? They run past a shit ton of guys. Kenny Omega, who's just been through a half-hour hellacious match, is now running down the corridor. But even forget that bit. I'm like, why didn't anybody stop him? Right?
And he ran past Tony Khan, so Tony Khan got on TV like 1 week after I was like questioning how soon it would be before he starts putting himself on TV.
Yep. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. No, the trick is whether or not he's going to be on TV anymore.
Mm.
And again, by the time this episode goes up, we'll probably know the answer because it goes up the day after Dynamite does.
Yep.
So that's very. But here's the thing. I feel like the execution of the angle was typically not handled the best way. But I feel like the idea itself is really cool. I really like it. Like, credit where credit's due. I think this is the most interesting thing All Elite Wrestling have done in a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. Because it just brings like intrigue. And if they do it right, now here's the caveat. If they do it right, it could be really cool, right? Because as we all know, the CM Punk angle from 2011 could have been really fucking good.
Yep.
It had everything was in the right place. It had the right people, and it started off right.
Yeah.
And it took them 2 weeks to fuck it up.
I mean,
it probably took them 1 week knowing the WWE. It
when
probably
they brought
took them
in
like
Kevin Nash,
half an hour.
Yeah.
Because I know Punk was off TV for like a week, and then he came back, and you're like, well, that kind of ruins the angle because the angle is he's not supposed to turn up. That's the point. Punk went home. He's not coming back 2 weeks later. So with this angle, I feel like, well, you're right in a lot of our questions, ironically, will have already been answered by the time this show goes up. So I don't want to ruminate on it too much, but like you wonder what exactly is going to be the next step, because it does not seem like an invasion, like you correctly said. It doesn't seem like an invasion at all. It really just kind of seems like Kenny Omega is appearing on Impact. Like they haven't made it seem like it's going to be a thing. It just seems like they're going to show a video of Kenny Omega in Impact.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're going to do anything substantial with it other than to just say, here, I'm on Impact. And then when you think about it, what is it he could possibly say in an interview with Don Callis that would make people give a shit anymore? Right? Because this isn't interview time. This is time to do something. And I would really like him to do that. I think this is the potential to really bring a lot of eyes to All Elite Wrestling and to Impact and, critically, to Kenny Omega, which is what I think they really want deep down. Because they want this to be Kenny Omega's fucking thing. And I would like to see if they can actually pull it off really well, or if they kind of drop the ball before it begins, So, yeah, I imagine we'll probably talk more about this later on because we'll know more about it later on. But I will say at the moment, I'm very interested. I think this is the best thing All Elite Wrestling have done in a long time. And I'm interested to see where it goes. And that's something I haven't said about All Elite Wrestling in fucking months.
Yeah.
It's been almost the opposite.
What do you think of Sting's debut?
Well, at first I thought it was really stupid.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who gives a fuck? Now, before that gets taken out of context or whatever, I understand that people do give a fuck about Sting. That's not the issue. I think him turning up on the day that he did made a lot of sense. Because he turned up halfway through that episode, and that got a lot of buzz on Twitter, and that got a lot of people talking about the show and being interested in the show. I don't know if it brought them any new viewers, but it got them interested. And then when they did that angle with Kenny Omega, that means more eyes will be on it, and it should get more buzz. I thought that was very clever.
Yeah.
It was very smart. But what I mean by who gives a fuck about Sting is like, what is Sting going to be able to do for All Elite Wrestling? Like, what can he bring to the table? Because one major criticism I think of All Elite Wrestling is that they have a tendency, a habit of bringing in all these people, signing these guys to lucrative contracts for no reason. Like, you have all of these managers, Arn Anderson and Taz and Jake the Snake, and they're all great, but also like Taz, he's great at what he does. Keep him. You don't need Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're big names, sure. Give them a paycheck, whatever. But what they're doing on TV is not necessary for your TV program. You don't need them. You can cut them out and you wouldn't notice. Whereas Taz at least has a presence. He's really good in the mic. He kind of works. Keep him. So like Sting, if you bring him out, what's Sting gonna do? Like, he shouldn't be working a match.
No.
Because God bless him, who wants to watch a Sting match right now? I don't. Nobody. Who wanted to watch Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon from a couple of years ago? Nobody.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. Bret Hart's great. Everybody loves Bret Hart. But like, he's not going to be able to do a whole lot of stuff. Sting is 61.
I think I read he's 62, but
62.
Could be
Maybe he had a birthday in between when I read and what you read. But like, is he going to be an on-screen like authority figure? Is he going to be, as we suspect, just somebody else's manager? Is he going to be Darby Allin's manager? Because if that happens, dude, like, come on, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to see that. Surely nobody wants to see that.
Well, you never know. Maybe it'll make Darby Allin's weird segments a bit better.
Or maybe they'll just drag Sting down with them.
Maybe he'll get Sting to do more of the Jackass style stuff that he does.
That's what I think. That's exactly what I think is gonna happen.
Because you look at all Sting on a skateboard.
I'm excited about. You look at all these legends they brought in, and instead of smartening up the young guys, they've been dumbing down the legends. Nobody gets everybody's getting brought down to their level. That's just it. Like, every single experienced guy that they brought in has just been reduced to some kind of gibbering idiot.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to fucking push people. So if Sting gets involved with Darby Allin, you're gonna see Sting, like you said, dude, on a skateboard, rolling down a fucking skate ramp, hanging out with Steve-O. It's gonna be ridiculous. I think Sting for that one appearance was fun. But here's the thing. Let me tell you this. I thought with Sting appearing on that show, because the point of Sting is to get eyes on that show. I thought with Sting on that show, they're gonna break 1 million.
Yeah.
They did not break 1 million. And I'm like, how? Everybody was talking about Sting.
Yeah.
A lot of people on my Twitter page were talking about Sting. And like, this was like legit, like proper buzz for All Elite Wrestling. And that couldn't even get them over 1 million. Like, I'm just saying, dude, that's interesting, right? And you could tout demographics and all that shit all you want, but we had talked about this not so long ago. You don't build your brand with just one-off appearances like this.
No, that's going to be why it's interesting to see how the rating is for this week's show, because with the buzz coming out of it, with like the Omega angle and with Sting showing up and all that kind of jazz, like this, if the needle doesn't start, ticking up after all that, then it's like, well, what was the point of it then? Why'd you spend all that money on giving Sting a contract and, doing the whole working with Impact Wrestling and stuff as well? Like, if there's no gain from doing it, then ultimately it was a bit of a waste of time. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
I guess, man. I mean, when you think about it, Sting didn't really change the needle for TNA either.
No.
And that's the trick. Like, you can't just bring in a name. You can't just say, here's Billy, because, how are they going to use those people? Look at
Yeah,
where the revival right now.
exactly.
Where is Rusev? Good God, what the fuck happened to Rusev?
Well,
Like,
to be fair, he actually looked more like Rusev in his Battle Royal appearance last week, where he got to show some dominance and not be goofy for once. So,
so what you're
uh,
saying is it's better for this guy to go out and just beat people up than to goof around with video games all day.
yeah, pretty much.
What an interesting take. If only somebody else had thought of that.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, so, let's look forward to plenty more segments where he's bumbling around playing video games. I don't know, dude. That company mystifies me. I'm interested. They've got me interested, but I know they're gonna fuck it up in a second.
Yeah.
I heard that Chris Jericho is threatening to break up the Inner Circle.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, you fucking kidding me? A week after this bullshit with MJF joining the Inner Circle, like now they're gonna break up.
Well, I mean, it smacks of something screwy going on there. I wouldn't be. I think we talked before about how like I wouldn't be surprised if MJF ends up taking over the group and then kicking Jericho out, and that being like a face turn for Jericho. But I don't know. I guess that's another one we'll have to wait and see what they've got in mind. I guess because it's at the moment it's not very clear where they're going, but. Yeah, I mean that's what you kind of want, isn't it? One of the big criticisms I've leveled against them, certainly over the last few months, is how predictable, like Dynamite is, and
Mm.
the direction feuds go, and the whole Omega route to the world title was so obvious.
Yeah. It's very, very transparent, and also like it seemed like they threw it together really quick.
Yeah.
Like as soon as they lost the tag titles, like here's this bit with Kenny Omega and Adam Page where clearly they're gonna meet in the finals.
Hmm.
And like where's he? Where's Page?
Yeah, yeah.
Where's Hangman Page? Where's this guy who's supposed to be the future of this company? Where's this guy that supposedly have built up this last year? This walking alcoholic. Where is he now?
He's mixing it up with the Dark Order.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I think we should wrap this one up before I get too angry.
That's probably a good idea.
Because I'm fed up of it. Listen, yeah, I'm intrigued about this Kenny Omega thing, and I really hope that they do something really cool with it.
Mm.
That's what I'm gonna say about that. But I guarantee I'll be back next week. And we'll have something to say about it. But let us know what you guys think about the whole Kenny Omega thing, the Impact thing, whether or not it's gonna work or not. We'll see. Let us know what you thought about War Games as well. Did you like the plastic hammer? Some people really like it. Wasn't a fan myself. But I think that's the show, right?
I think so.
Right. Yeah, dude. Thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with some more shit. So stick around. You'll have some fun. Bye, I guess. Bye.
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 Ooh. The spooky Christmas ghost.